Okay, this January 2003 question. Got to read it fairly carefully. The sign indicates that there's 50 millilitres of coffee in the cups, but actually we've got a mean, and then we've got a 10%. Now that's a probability, okay, of the cups containing less than the amount stated on the sign. So as with any normal distribution question, your first task is to get this onto a diagram. I'll do a stupidly small one here. So we know the mean of the distribution is at 55, and we know that 50, which is the value on the sign, we've got 10% with less coffee in than that. So it's a backwards question because we're given a probability. So we need to find the z-score that corresponds with this 10% probability. Now in the tables you're using, because it's the backwards table, you'll need to use this table from the formula book on page 19, and this, notice, the values in the table are those which are exceeded with probability p. In other words, this table works the other way round compared with the normal table. So you'll need to consider the reflected situation where this probability here, the high end probability, is 10% or 0.01. So the positive z value that you look up from the table, you have to convert to a negative z value. Once you've got your z value, you use the formula z equals x minus mu over sigma. Okay, so you've got the negative z value from your picture. You've got an x value because we know the value, the amount of coffee for that, and we know the mean. So you'll be able to solve this to find sigma. So that's the standard deviation. And then the percentage of cups that contain more than 61 millilitres, this is now a forwards question. So start again with a new diagram. So the mean is still 55, but now we want to find out the probability of being more than 61. So we've got a mean, we've got an x value, we want to find the probability, so we have to use this standardization formula. We've got a new x value 61, we've got the mean 55, we've got sigma from part A, so that will give us a z value. Notice we want the probability of being more than that z value. So when you use the table on page 18 now, this table only works with 0 and positive z values, okay, and it gives probabilities of more than a half because it's looking at the probability of being to the left of that value. So on your version of this diagram here, when you look up your positive z value here, the tabulated figure will be this probability. Okay, so having looked up that probability, you can see that to get the probability you need, you're going to have to do a subtraction from 1. Okay, then for part C, we've now got changes. So there are adjustments made. Only 2.5% of cups now contain less than the 50 millilitres, and the standard deviation is now 3 millilitres. So I've got to find the new mean. So this is another backwards question. We've now got 2.5% as our probability. So this is a bit like the first question we did. We've got a known 2.5% probability here. We've got a mean we don't know, call it mu. Okay, so the first step is to find out the z value corresponding to this 2.5% probability. Well, that's exactly the same as what we did with the 10% probability before. We have to use the table on page 19. Make sure we've got a negative z value. We can see from our picture that we've got a negative z value, and once I've got a z value and I've got the standard deviation was given, wasn't it? The standard deviation sigma is 3, and I've got an x value still. This is still 50 millilitres of coffee, so this formula here will give me the new mean.